Why does everyone think Japan is so weird? Just because we have a service where you can rent a big guy doesn't make us weird. Wait, that's kind of weird. Okay, just because we have a service where you can have your funeral before you die doesn't make us weird. That's kind of weird too. Okay, just because we have a service where
really ridiculously good looking
guy comes to your house and cries with you doesn't make... That's kind of weird too. But I promise you, there's a good reason why these weird services exist. And I'll tell you about them, starting with Japan's crying man service. Have you ever been in this situation? You have a really bad day and you just want someone to cry to. Suddenly, a good-looking guy appears in your room and wipes your tears away. And here's some tasty snacks from today's sponsor, Sakurako. Yeah, I've never had that happen to me either. But would you be surprised that there's actually a service that does that? Well, everything except giving you the snack box. This is Ikemeso Takubin, which translates as handsome guy crying delivery service. Nothing sexual about it.
That's not true! That's impossible!
And true to its name, you can choose from a variety of good-looking guys who will help you relieve your stress by comforting you while you cry. First, if you were going through a rough time in your life, they can provide comfort by listening to you and consoling you. People are strange these days. I had a dozen guys and one of them found out about it. Beat me up so bad, ended up in a hospital on Gorilla Street.
What a story, Mark.
But what if you don't feel like crying? Well, the second way is by showing you an emotional scenes from a movie to make you shed tears.
If a lot of people love each other, the world would be a better place to live.
Hi, are you crying?
Nope. Just watching the movie.
Hank, you're scaring me. What the hell is going on?
So, whether you feel like crying or not, these handsome guys will make you cry. But before that, I think it's important to point out another service that they offer, virtual crying sessions. Imagine you and your handsome companion sitting together, just inches apart. You feel his warm presence as he gazes at you with the most caring eyes. You can't help but fight the tears back. As they stream down your face, he pulls out the softest quilted handkerchief and gently pats them off your cheek. On Zoom. These are called Ruikatsu sessions. They are therapeutic crying sessions designed to help people release stress through emotional triggers. They'll use touching videos, stories, and music to get participants to shed tears. It's believed that by crying, we can experience a reduction in stress and an increase in well-being. But it has to be real tears from an emotional moment. Watery eyes from allergies or whatever he's doing doesn't count.
We're gonna save so much money on those stupid therapy bills. The burning means it's working. Ow.
Hiring a handsome guy to come to your house just to make you cry does sound weird. But maybe it makes sense for a country like Japan. Seeing a therapist still carries some stigma here.
I don't believe in that gobbledygook about a subconscious or any other witchcraft. I won't take pills, I won't let you hypnotize or molest me.
And while it's becoming more accepted, it's not as common as in the West. So until that changes, maybe a good crying session is the next best thing. But how about a service where you can rent a fat person? How does that make any sense? And before you think I'm joking, it is a real service. It's called Debukari, and it's the first and maybe only fat person rental agency in the country, maybe even in the world. And you might be thinking, why does this exist? Well, that's a very interesting question, and it solves a uniquely Japanese problem. But first, let's take a look at how this service started. The owner of a plus-size clothing store in Japan was having difficulty finding professional plus-size models for his clothing line. He was frustrated with the lack of extra-large talent, so he decided to start his own talent agency for big people. And in 2021, Debukari was founded. You can browse through dozens of options of large men and women to rent for as little as 2,000 yen for an hour. And I was surprised how many different kinds of big people you can rent. You can rent a big guy who races cars, a big lady who plays a piano, and you can even rent big people who like food.
Want a piece of pizza? Think I got extra pizza around here somewhere.
But what do you do with these big people once you rent them? Well, the site has a few different use cases for them. For example, used at a party.
There's no doubt that the party will be gorgeous just because fat is there. It's strange.
Or how about furniture assembly/moving?
Take a look at the profile and find a powerful fat.
And of course, the original purpose of Debukari, request for model shooting.
There is no doubt that the shooting site will not only be fun with the fat.
But as this TV show segment revealed, the most popular reason to use Debukari is to have someone to eat with. Here, a guy in his 30s meets with the Debukari member to eat at an Italian restaurant. He pays her for her time and then they start ordering. After eating around 12,120 yen worth, the client paid for both their meals. At the end, he said that he wanted to try a bunch of different dishes at the restaurant. And because his work schedule makes it really hard to meet with friends, renting someone from Debukari was an easy way for him to enjoy a meal out. I was in a British TV show where I was the host to bring big 5 British people to lose weight using Japanese method. I was kind of like an expert to teach them how Japanese people treat bigger people and those kind of things. In one part of the show, I took them to see one of the Debukari girl. To be honest with you, I've never rented a big person ever before. I was kind of nervous because is it okay to ask questions about, their weight, or can I just talk to them like friends? I wasn't sure. And when we arrived at Takeshita-dori in Tokyo, I was so shocked in a really good way. She appeared from the top of the stairs and dressed like a princess. Wow, she's big, but she's a big princess. And then suddenly I felt like, wow, she's like a celebrity. I actually had a chance to sit down and talk to the girl.
What type of people rent you?
男の人もいるし、ちょっとなんかぽっちゃりした女性が好きな。
What different things do you do when someone rents you?
あとは同じような体型の子で、なんかやっぱり細い子と一緒にご飯に行くのが恥ずかしいから、一緒に食べたいとか、一緒にお買い物に行きたいとかっていう人もいます。
I know it's kind of weird way to find someone to eat with, but to be honest, is it that strange? These days, it's not that rare for people to eat alone at restaurants while watching videos of someone else eating. At least with the Debukari service, you actually have someone to talk to, even if you are paying them by the hour. Now, before you think all Japanese services are weird, we have some really great ones too. There's one that sends delicious Japanese snacks to your door called Sakurako! Sakurako is a monthly Japanese snack subscription box that supports local Japanese snack makers. Every month, you get 20 authentic, artisan, and traditional Japanese snacks, as well as Japanese teas and a special Japanese tableware item. This month's theme is Seasons of Sakura! And it comes in this cute Sakura box. I love Sakura season! So in the booklet, you can learn how Japanese people enjoy Sakura picnic and all the information about the snack in the box. It smells just like it's baked. I just heat it up in microwave. Wow, it's really tastes like straight out of oven. The dough is actually handmade in a shop in Saitama. It's very interesting. I've never tried anything like this. Oh, I like this. It's so nice and light. Wow, look at this. The cherry blossom just bloom. Yeah, this is what Japanese people imagine Sakura flavor would be. And that's not all. Tokyo Treat is a fun and exclusive Japanese snack box that features unique flavors from across Japan. You can enjoy the cherry blossom themed box and snacks. Oh, it's a white Kit Kat. And then I can see the bits of the strawberries. You cannot go wrong with any flavor of Kit Kat. And you can get some great Sakura bonus gift. Just use the link below and sign up for a multi-month subscription. Or use my code Mrs. Eats to save $5 on your first box. Experience Japanese Sakura picnic in your home with Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. There's one situation that we will all face that stands as a somber reality of life.
Yeah, when the buffet runs out of chicken tenders.
What? No!
You're talking about when the buffet runs out of everything.
I'm talking about death. And more specifically, funerals. But have you ever wanted to know what's it like to have your own funeral while you're still alive? Well, Japan has you covered with the living funeral service.
Surprise! Happy funeral, Bender!
A surprise funeral? For me?
We just wanted to show you that you really will be remembered.
Seizenso, or still alive funeral, might be the only service in the world that lets you experience your own wake. And just for the record, this is not a normal thing that everyday Japanese do. But what exactly is the purpose of having a living funeral for yourself? It's a unique way of celebrating the person before they actually die.
Dearly beloved, we are here today to remember Bender. Taken from us in the prime of life when he was crushed by a runaway semi driven by the Incredible Hulk.
You knew my favorite cause of death.
Of course, there will be somebody who thinks the concept is quite narcissistic, but there are some important burdens that the living funeral solves. First, it's meant to replace the actual funeral of the host. By having a living funeral, it's understood that you are not going to have an actual funeral at the time of your passing. This allows the host to bear the cost of the event rather than leaving the financial burden on their remaining family members. Second, it gives the host a way to tie up all the loose ends in life and make amends while they are still alive. Japanese actor Ishida Junichi held his own living funeral and said that there were still issues he was dealing with in his life, and that with the little time he has left, he wants to try to solve them and move forward positively. Of course, there are a few misconceptions that people might have about this service. First, these aren't common at all. They are very rare and most everyday Japanese people would never hold one. Second, the mood isn't meant to be a somber one like the actual funeral.
We are here today to join this woman on the ground.
Instead, it's meant to be a joyous celebration and a remembrance of the host, like this living funeral that was held for a man named Fujii Yoshiaki. His passion was dancing and he was a big part of a local dance community in Kyoto. But after being diagnosed with ALS, his life fell apart. His colleague decided to hold a living funeral for him and invited over 250 people to celebrate him and the impact he had on the community. Through this event, Mr. Fujii found new meaning in life through his friends and supporters and pledged to do his best to keep fighting. In the end, the living funeral was not an end, but a new beginning for him. So, while it might seem strange, it's certainly a unique and different way to say goodbye. You know guys, the more I learned about this Seizenso living funeral, would I ever do it? It's actually, answer is yes. I knew it since I was little because I've seen famous rock star did a living funeral. When I saw it, I thought it's ridiculous. Why would you do it? Why would you want to bring people and then make them have a speech? Well, you are not even dead, right? But it's so interesting. Maybe I'm getting older and then, sometimes think about my own death. And then also think about the time that we have in this world, especially after watching Mr. Fujii-san's living funeral. Do you guys have somebody that you really love, but you haven't really met them for a long time? Then you may think, I'll see them like whenever I have time. Yeah, I'll see her maybe next year, New Year's or something, but you never do it. In my case, my favorite supervisor from high school, he suddenly died. He was healthy. And we were actually planning to have his a small party with all the high school friends. But suddenly he passed away. And I felt like, wow, I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye or hi. I just wish he had his own living funeral, so I would attend and then I would say, thank you so much, sensei. Why I'm emotional? I don't know why. Oh, I don't know why I'm emotional, but... Yeah, so that kind of emotion, that kind of feeling, appreciating the other person, appreciating a friend or family, really come out when you really think about their death. Death happens suddenly, right? You cannot expect your best friend would die, your family would die. You cannot. So that's why I think having a living funeral will give us a chance to say thank you, or I hated you but I love you now, or there's many things that you can appreciate after the living funeral. So I will have living funeral with Mr. Eats. At this point, you might be wondering, why does Japan have all these weird services? Well, the reason Japan creates these bizarre services is also the reason so many people love this country. Japan is a land where two completely opposite things can exist at the same time. A good example of this is this area in Tokyo. At first glance, it looks like your typical modern city, but in between the tall buildings is a 300-year-old temple that makes you feel like you've transported back in time. The quiet, tranquil atmosphere is a stark contrast to the loud traffic noises outside of the temple gates. And Japan is full of these contradictions. Robots and cutting-edge technology exist right next to our beloved 90s fax machines. Advanced toilets that spray warm jets of water at your booty are just a stall away from the ancient squatty potty. And these super weird services, they exist in a country full of strict social rules. A country that coined the phrase, the nail that sticks up is hammered down. In the land where everyone is expected to fit in, these things give them a safe outlet to release that stress. If something as strange as renting a crying man or holding a living funeral actually helps someone, then maybe it is useful. Of course, you don't have to agree with or even understand them, because at the end of the day, there are some concepts in Japanese culture that just don't make sense to a Western point of view. And vice versa. A good example of this is how Japanese almost never say I love you, even to our loved ones.
I love you, Bobby.
What?
Nothing. Hey, look at that bird.
That probably sounds insane to some of you, but we have a good reason why we don't. I talk all about them here, so check it out. Thanks for watching. Okini!